I got the flu recently. Having the flu is terrible, but it gave me a ton of free time. With all this free time, I decided to start building speakers. I do everything from the wiring to the soldering to the installation. I make my speakers because I love the feeling of bass. I love to make the ground shake, but my neighbors hate me for it, so I have to find something else to do with my time. Like anyone else would do, I spent a ton of time on YouTube. I explored numerous rabbit holes which led me here. This video brought back a lot of memories of my experiences caving. The Minnesota caving community used to be a lot more secretive. Information was spread by word of mouth. In these more recent years, most people go to social media to get their locations. With most people now getting their information on social media, I wanted to reminisce on a website where I got my information from when I was younger. Actionsquad, a group of early 2000s explorers. At first you think urban explorers, but bringing up the definition of urban exploration according to Wikipedia, it is the exploration of man-made structures, usually abandoned ruins or hidden components of man-made environment. So what makes Actionsquad explorers over urban explorers? Well, to put it simply, they explore everything. It doesn't matter if it's man-made or a natural cave system. What also sets them apart is their documentation is in an article-style format. Actionsquad has completed 44 missions, and for the sake of time, I will only be focusing on 2. The Nicolet Island Tunnels, also known as Satan's Cave, and the Kitsendale Helix Drains, also known as the Triple Helix. But why would anyone want to crawl in these drain systems and wet caves full of bugs, dirt, and other yucky stuff? Luckily, Actionsquad explains their reasoning behind their actions. To sum it up, they love the sense of adventure, the thrill of trespassing, the challenge of getting in and out, the beauty of the architecture, and knowing that they're one of very few people who have explored these areas. But to try to get a sense of what they're really saying, I decided to go explore these locations myself. The Triple Helix is an intricate man-made storm drain system that shoots out into the Mississippi. It gets its name from its 3 spiral staircases which allow water to trickle down to the main drain. The likely reason for this architecture is to avoid corrosion. By letting the water trickle down a couple hundred feet, the city avoids having to repair this storm drain. Actionsquad goes and does a thorough exploration of the Triple Helix, even going far enough in mapping the system. Sadly, the website is so outdated I can't get a higher resolution picture of the map. Getting down to the entrance of the Triple Helix is kind of a pain in the ass, but anyways I made it down. The entrance is massive, with graffiti covering every inch of every wall. As I started this trip, I treated this space as an exclusive gallery. As I explored deeper, I was met with a lot of graffiti of characters, some existing from pop culture. I walked for about 30 minutes before I found anything interesting. It was an offshoot on the left side of the drain, but I decided not to explore it because I came here to see the staircase. Going deeper and deeper, I was met with just more offshoots. After being in here for about an hour, I finally found the first staircase. This is where I started to feel the high you get from urban exploring. I started making my way up the staircase just because I had to know what was at the top. There was a lot more water rushing down the stairs than I had anticipated, meaning my socks got soaked. Getting up the stairs was pretty difficult. They were extremely slippery and I was too tall for the ceiling, meaning I had to crouch. About halfway up, you're met with this interesting piece of graffiti. 250 steps later at the top, sediment is forming on the wall, which I found interesting. You also get to see the source of all the water trickling down the stairs. But these stairs kept going, so I had to explore it. Coming up to the top, I found myself in a really interesting place. The stairs continued up like they were going somewhere, but were just met with a wall, and graffiti started to coat the walls again. I kept on moving forward, now having no clue where I was, and was met by a kind of freaky sight, a bunch of chains. The room opened up and there was a manhole cover on the ceiling, meaning I was right under a road. The room had another tunnel connected to it, but I was too short to really stick my head in there. I decided to keep moving down this new tunnel for a little bit to see if there was anything interesting ahead. I continued walking for about 15 minutes till I was startled by a car driving over a manhole cover. At this point, both my socks were completely soaked, my camera was dying, and now I was scared. I was satisfied with the footage I had got and decided to get out of here. On my way out, I was now moving with the airflow, meaning the steam from my breath kept getting in my face and I couldn't see anything. I ended up stepping in a lot more water than I was comfortable with, and my socks were drenched. Finally making it home, I was so happy to get in the shower and clean my feet. I didn't explore nearly as much as Actionsquad did. Part of me kept wanting to go deeper, but part of me just wanted to go home. I was curious if my experience was underwhelming because it was a storm drain, so obviously I went to a cave next. Satan's Cave is a mixture of service tunnels and man-made limestone caves laying under Nicollet Island. It gets its name from the devilish face carvings deep in the caves. The story goes that the carvings were done by Satan cultists, but realistically these carvings were most likely done by a group of teens and snowballed into this story. Most of the time there's tapestries down there, but they tend to change from year to year due to people taking what they want. Disappointingly, Satan's Cave isn't haunted. It's just a connection of caves and service tunnels allowing water to pump to all the houses on Nicollet Island. But nonetheless, it's still a very interesting place to explore. My girlfriend helped me pop a drain cover open and I slid in. The entrance was terrible. I climbed down about 20 feet of pipes. Finally at the bottom, I was able to get myself situated. Not too sure where I was going, I started moving north. These tunnels were full of dirt, spiders, centipedes, mud, all sorts of disgusting stuff. And they were only about 4 feet tall, meaning I had to hunch walk the whole way. Being completely transparent, I was incredibly scared down here. To give you an idea of my experience, here's some raw footage. Making my way out of the service tunnels into these limestone caves, I was met with detrimental news. Everything was flooded. I was already covered in mud and it had only been about 20 minutes. Having no idea where I was really going, I knew I wasn't going in there. That was flooded. And I was not going to squeeze down there either. The room started to smell a little funny, like gases, and I don't have a gas reader, so I hightailed it out of here. Crawling back into the service tunnels, I really started to rethink my decisions. With the caves being completely flooded, I was covered in mud and dirt. You can see how wet my lens is right now, and I was just really not having it. The part of the service tunnel facing north was also flooded, so I had no choice but to turn back. I hunched my way, heading south now, passing where I had entered, and now moving into unknown territory. Under me you can see the main pipe that pumps the water to all the fire hydrants on the streets. I'm not a plumber, so I don't know if these are being maintained, but it's fun to think that everyone has something similar under their house. I found another small hole to crawl through, and this one was slightly less wet, so I was pretty hopeful. Sticking my head through, there weren't any main tunnels I could follow, but I still decided to check things out. Again, I decided not to climb into any of the tunnels where I had to army crawl just because I was alone and I really did not want to get stuck. I poked around a little bit, but I could not find any entrances to the shrine. So I made my way back to the service tunnels and kept on moving. Getting to as far south as this entrance went, I found myself at a new manhole that I didn't enter through. But to get to it, it wasn't fun. At this point in the journey, I was slightly fed up, so I was kind of hoping I could just pop this manhole cover and slide on out. But after squeezing through this wet and muddy tight crawl space, I was met with some devastating news. I tried as hard as I could to pop it open, but I just wasn't strong enough, so I had to make my way back to where I came in. Squeezing under the yucky muddy pipe again, I was just ready to go home. Finally, I made my way to where I had entered and called my girlfriend to get her to open the manhole cover. While I was waiting, I decided to voice how I was feeling at this exact moment, so I'm just gonna let this play.
Get me the out of here. For you guys, I did this for you guys so I could go present this in class, and it would be awesome, but it's not awesome right now. Hell no! You see those crawl spaces in this? No, no. Those were some tight. No, I do not fit in there. It's all muddy and up. Like Satan's cave. You can stay in hell, bruh, cause I ain't going through hell to get to you.
Luckily, shortly after this, my girlfriend got here and popped open the cover, so I was able to slide out. To understand why Actionsquad went to the lengths they did to explore these locations, I'd tried to recreate what they were doing myself, but in the process of recreation, I kind of lost why I was doing this. I was more freaked out by the caves, and I realized I'm not built for underground exploration, which makes everything Actionsquad achieved far more impressive than I had originally thought reading these articles. They went through incredible lengths, mapping and exploring all these locations. I don't think we'll ever see a group as thorough as Actionsquad ever again, and that's what makes them so special.